So it's just 11. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second webinar of the Open Call of the DEMETER project. First of all, my name is Nuria DeLama. I am European Programs Manager at Atos. I'm also a member of the Board of Directors of the Big Data Value Association, but today I'm here with my hat as a partner of the DEMETER project, and it's my pleasure to be with the wonderful speakers that will share with you the knowledge that is needed in order to apply to this open call that I hope is very interesting for most of you or all of you that are now joining the webinar. So the first thing that I would like to tell you is that this session is organized to provide you with information, but we also want you to be participative. After the first webinar that we organized, a lot of people contacted us to check additional information. So don't be shy. I think it's very good that you post your questions and that you share them with the audience so that you also solve the doubts that all the colleagues may have. And for this, you may see on your screen that you have a chat function in Zoom, so you can use it in order to post your comments or your questions. So please don't hesitate to do that while our speakers are talking. And like this afterwards, I will take all the questions and we will make them to the speakers after the presentations. And also at the end of the session where we have devoted a bit of time to questions and answers. Let me tell you a bit about the agenda for today. We will start with an overview of the DEMETER project so that you have a good background and framework of what we are asking for. Then we will go directly to the open call application process, and my colleague Miguel will tell you basically how you have to apply if you are interested in the open call. Then we will go deeper into the content. Some of you, or probably most of you, know that we have included 5 topics in this first open call. So we will go in more detail through the 5 topics that are open now. And finally, we will start with the DEMETER architecture, which is very important as technical content that you need to take into consideration in order to apply. And I suppose that many of the questions may also come from that side. So without additional delay, I would like to introduce our first speaker in order to provide the overview of the DEMETER project. It's Kevin Doolin. He is Director of Innovation at the Telecommunications Software and System Group based in Waterford Institute of Technology. He's been leading projects for more than 20 years, so he has a lot of experience. And who could be better to explain us the DEMETER project since he is the project coordinator. So Kevin, the floor is yours, and let us know a bit about what DEMETER aims at.
Thanks, Nuria. Good morning, everybody. I presume you can see my slides.
We see them.
So I'm Kevin Doolin. I'm the Director of Innovation in TSSG, based in Waterford Institute of Technology, and I'm the coordinator of the DEMETER project. And I just want to really set the context for what DEMETER is about and why we're actually doing it. So if we look at the challenges that are facing the ag-tech sector today, we first have to look at the sectoral and kind of policy requirements that exist. As you can see here on the slide, modernization of the Common Agricultural Policy really is a critical element. And its focuses on, for example, rebalancing power excuse me, in the food chain, supporting generational renewal, ensuring fair income and protection of food and health quality. And a lot of these things can be addressed through digitalization, but there are a number of bottlenecks that we need to overcome. And these bottlenecks include things like the lack of infrastructure, connectivity, broadband, to be able to bring cutting edge technology closer to the field. There's issues around limited awareness on behalf of farmers about the benefits that technology can bring. It's not just enough for us to assume that, if we build it, they will come. Farmer skills, in certain cases, also need updating to be able to engage in a more meaningful and productive way with technology. On the technical side, interoperability between systems is quite limited. It's often through a lack of defined standards or indeed walled garden type business models. And additionally, the ownership of data is very critical. So if we think about the future CAP, we're trying to rebalance power there, but how do we do that if farmers can't retain their data ownership, for example? And beyond these limiting factors, there are also some risks. So for example, the digital divide, particularly between small farmers and large multi-farm players, can increase if equal access to technology is not provided. And the impact on jobs too has to be considered. So the more we automate, potentially the less that we need humans in a farming context. To add into that mix, then there's also pressures from the Green Deal that everyone knows about, but this can also be seen really as an opportunity for us as technologists. increased technical deployments and increased supportive intelligence can make great inroads towards sustainability, but not without considering some of the challenges I've mentioned here on the slide. So what is DEMETER? DEMETER is a large-scale project of 60 partners across 18 countries. Our core goal is to implement interoperability right across the agri-chain from farm to fork, particularly at a data level. To verify our results, we planned 20 pilots across 5 major sectors, and these pilots are already underway. We also plan significant dissemination of results, which we hope will result in increased uptake of our outputs through the involvement of the World Farmers Organization, for example. And the map on the slide here shows the spread of our projects, our pilots, I should say, across Europe. So I just want to touch very briefly on our technical approach. I know time is quite limited. So in this slide, you can see the essence of DEMETER, and at the heart of the system, we have what we call the DEMETER Enabler Hub. And this hub provides functionality where interested developers and stakeholders can register their offered capabilities and resources, and then they act as what we call DEMETER providers. Then we have DEMETER consumers, which can browse the hub to discover capabilities and resources that match their criteria. The hub also identifies, it verifies our identities, and it provides the support necessary for establishing direct, secure communication channels between the consumers and providers. The enablers then that we make available via the hub, these can either be services developed within the DEMETER project itself, or resources offered by external stakeholders such as yourselves, like third-party service providers, platform providers, and technology providers, and so on. This also connects the resources to our agricultural interoperability space, which supports team-ups to create relevant combinations of tools and services for farmers, and it connects to the stakeholder open collaboration space, which supports knowledge sharing. And this allows service discovery from a functional or feature point of view to be used during the resolution of challenges that are launched through our co-creation mechanisms. Critical to all of this is the DEMETER MAA, which is our multi-actor approach, and through this support co-creation needs, co-generation of solutions, co-shared responsibility for efficient deployment of technology, and co-organized support for optimal adoption. I mentioned already that to verify the systems we're building, we've planned a series of 20 pilots that are organized broadly into 5 categories, as you can see on the slide. You can get a lot more detail on these on our website, by the way. But just for example, looking at water and energy management related to arable crops, we're looking at things like smart energy management in irrigated crops, or things like optimal rice irrigation. We're looking at precision farming related to arable crops. So for example, in-service agricultural machinery condition monitoring, or data brokerage and decision support systems. Under our topic of crop health and quality, particularly around the fruit and vegetable sector, we're looking, for example, just as an example, at decision support systems for olive growers. We also have a focus on animal health. So for example, a dairy farmer's dashboard for the milk and the meat production chain. And then we have a number of cross-sectoral pilots. So for example, looking at pollination optimization in apiculture, or enabling transparency in the poultry industry supply chain. So you can see we have quite a wide variety of pilots, and the reason for that is to ensure that our solutions are relevant in multiple different diverse settings. So where are we at the moment? The project started in September 2019. Our multi-actor approach is fully underway. We have our initial requirements and our architecture ready. As I said, the piloting has started, albeit with a few little delays due to COVID, and our open call, which we're discussing today, has launched. And you can get details on the various links there, and we'll make the slides available later. And that's the end of my talk. My contact details are on the slide here if anybody wants to connect. So back to you, Nuria.
Thank Thank you very much, Kevin. Very comprehensive project presentation despite the limitation in terms of time. Some of you that may have attended the previous webinar will see that today we have tried to shorten a bit of presentations precisely to give you time for questions and answers. In any case, I'm looking at the questions that you have posted in the chat. Yeah, information will be available. We are recording the webinar. Also, if you visit our website, you will see that there's a lot of information about the open call, about the process. We have categorized the information. You will also find the recorded version of the previous webinar we had some weeks ago, and you will also see a questions and answers section where you will see many of the questions that we got so far already answered for the community. So anything that you will post today will also be shared with the audience for the benefit of everyone. So let me go now to the second speaker for today is Miguel Goncalves. He's EU Project Manager at F6S. You know, this is a company that is an expert in cascading funding opportunities. So Miguel is our coordinator of the Open Call, and as such, he will tell you about the process. Miguel, who can apply to the Open Call? What are the conditions? What is the deadline? Tell us a bit more, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Nuria, and I will try to go real quick on this. So the overall objective of the call is to attract and engage startups and SMEs with technology products. So as Kevin mentioned, we are this big and huge project with 60 partners, but we want more partners. We want to evolve the SMEs with technology products with this open call. So let's look at the main characteristic of the open call. So potential applicants should apply until the 18th of November. At 5 p.m. CET. The activities that we want to fund in this first DEMETER Open Call are the reshaping of your technologies in order to integrate them and make them interoperable with the DEMETER platform. So we are not looking for developing software and technology from scratch, but actually integrate what is already developed or under development. The duration of activities or the main activities are 6 months, divided in the sprints of 2 months, 3 sprints of 2 months. And so the main activities will be concentrated in that time frame. And so at the end of this period, we expect that the integration and the solution is operable. And then we will ask to keep the solution operable for until the end of the project, and this is why we are asking for 18 months of service maintenance. But there will not be a lot of activity there if the solution is working at the end of the 6 months. Is just keep the solution working to the end of the project. So the funding per project per SME is up to 30K. So it's a lump sum, is dependent on the deliverables and the solution that you provide. It's 100% equity free, so that's very important as well. In terms of milestone, we will, as I said, we will have sprints of 2 months and an evaluation at the end of each sprint, which is attached with a payment from the DEMETER consortium. And we expect on this first open call to attract and select between 8 and 12 SMEs, depending on the available amount of funding available. Who can apply? So we are here looking for SMEs, and we are not looking for consortiums of SMEs, but single SMEs to apply. And they should be SMEs according to the definition of SME of the European Commission. They should be from a member state of the European Union, including their outmost regions or overseas countries and territories linked to the EU member states, age 2020 association countries, and for this open call, the SMEs from the United Kingdom are eligible as well. Applicants cannot be DEMETER consortium partners or affiliated entities. That is also important. So we have 5 topics for this first open call, which we will talk more in detail later. But soil workability and humidity monitoring, interoperable geotag photo app, ISOBUS enabler, blockchain solution for agriculture, and DEMETER business process integration is the 5th topic. So very important, apply before the 18th of November at 5 p.m. CET. You should apply via F6S. There is the link. On that link, the first thing you will find is the guide for applicants that has all the information you need to apply successfully to this call. You should fill all the mandatory fields of the form directly on F6S. Use the official template to submit your proposal. On the form, you will be invited to upload this file, and please upload it with using the template, because it was designed to answer perfectly to the evaluation criteria that will be assessed. And also attach the honor declaration and the SME declaration, and you should be ready to go. So in terms of flow, we will have, once received all applications, we will have an eligibility check to see if you are eligible to the call. Then we'll have a remote evaluation, an online interview with the top applicants from each topic, a consensus meeting, and we hope to start working with the teams in the beginning of next year. The evaluation criteria are three main groups: excellence and innovation, that are related to your project and your technology and what you want to develop; the expertise and excellence of the proposed team to ensure that you are the right people to make this happen; and project planning and value for money, considering what you are presenting. In terms of timeline, again, apply until the November 18th. We have the evaluation and selection of applicants that can happen between November and December. We expect to do some due diligence and the contracting phase in January next year, and start the practical development in February until end of July. Those are tentative dates for now. So why you should apply, just to wrap up. Well, there is this 30K equity funding available, which is very important, but it's not all. We will have access to top infrastructure, mentorship and technical support from the DEMETER team. You will be able to join this amazing and vibrant ecosystem of 60 partners, and you will have the opportunity to shape the future of agriculture as well. So just 5 tips to end this presentation. Please read the guidelines for applicants. Read also the frequently asked questions on the website. You can also read the online Q&A where potential applicants have been asking questions and we are answering them. So you can find there also some information that are available to you. Use the official template. And also you can consult the complementary documents available on the Open Call page regarding, for example, the DEMETER architecture and so on. And that's it. You can also email us if you have special requirements related to the Open Calls, to opencalls@h2020 DEMETER EU. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miguel. I see that we already have some questions both in the chat and in the Q&A section of Zoom. So I think it's better that we go through them now, because you have just made a presentation. So I think the context is better. And then we will reduce a bit the time for questions and answers if they are already made. So one of them is what will be the maintenance activities during 9 months that you have mentioned? What do they consist of? And then are they supposed to covered by those 330,000 euro?
Okay, so I think my colleagues here can help me on the maintenance activities, but I think the main idea is to make sure that the solution that we will develop in the first 6 months of the integration and interoperability of your technology in the DEMETER Hub will continue to be operable until the end of the DEMETER project. So the maintenance activity can be very different regarding the technology that is integrated, but the general idea is to make sure that it will be functioning and operable at the end of the 6 months until the end of the project.
Mm-hmm. And then I suppose the answer to the question about if it is covered already by the 30,000 euro is yes. No?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and then there is a question also about subcontracting. Is this allowed? Is it desirable or forbidden?
Okay, so the core activities and the core development and the core integration implementation should be made by the selected SMEs. So minor or not critical aspects can be subcontracted, but is not encouraged, but it's possible, and it should be duly justified in the proposal template.
Mm-hmm. Then a question that I'm not sure if it is more for you, Miguel, or maybe that's more suitable for the presentations we will have afterwards, is how does the input need to be connected to the DEMETER platform?
Yes, I think it's a question for our colleagues here today.
Yeah, that will be answered later on in the presentations. Let me go now to the chat. There are some comments that I'm not sure if they are comments or they have an inputted question. So there is someone that comes from the Republic of Pakistan. So I'm not sure if you want to introduce yourself to the audience or if it is just because you want to know if you can apply to the open call. Miguel, just in case, let's try to clarify. Someone from our Republic of Pakistan could apply to the open call? And it is a branch of a state-owned university. I think you can also see it in the chat.
Yes, I'm not sure. I don't think
well,
so.
It needs to be an SME, right, and not a university.
Yes, exactly. That's. I was trying to see it in terms of geography, but yes, just from that point of view, it should be an SME. Yeah.
So then the answer to the next question, which is it possible for French and SMEs to attend? I suppose that when you say to attend, it means to apply to the open call. And of course, if you're an SME, you are based in the European Union, you don't belong to the DEMETER project, you can apply to that, no? Mm-hmm. That's basically what has been described. I hope that one is answered and it's clear now for the people. Then there is another one on our company shareholders are two companies and an individual. And none of the parties own more than 50% of the company. Are we eligible or we are not considered independent to apply?
Well, for that one, I mean, we are not assessing each applicant's proposal and situation. So I will advise to reach an accountant and see the SME declaration to have some advice on this one.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Miguel. Let's go quickly through the next two ones and then we jump to the presentation. And if you have more questions, you can come later on to the questions and answers section. Can a US-based agro startup take part in the open call? I fear the answer is no, Miguel.
Yes, unfortunately, the US-based companies are not in the European Union. They are not H2020 associated countries, so you cannot directly apply to the open call yet.
We are open to collaborate with others, but basically you could not get the money from the open call based on the requirements. But if you're interested in the project, please get in touch with us. And then every SME under the definition of the EU Commission is allowed to apply regardless sector of activity. And understand the answer is yes.
Yes,
to
exactly.
comply with the rest of the requirements, of course.
Exactly.
Okay, so then thank you very much, Miguel. You may get some additional questions later on. Let's jump now to the next presentation, which is quite important for today, is basically the description of the 5 topics that are open in this call. And the presentation will be made by Nenad Gligoric from DNET. He's project manager at DNET, and he's leading 3 of the pilots in the DEMETER project. So he's also leading cluster 5 of the pilots, which addresses supply and demand sides of the supply chain. So he's the perfect speaker to share with us basically the content and what it is expected in each of these 5 topics that are now open in the call. So Nenad, the floor is yours, and thank you for telling us how it goes for the 5 topics.
Thank you very much. And I also like to take the opportunity to thanks to the other colleagues for this nice introduction for the DEMETER project and as well for the DEMETER Open Call. Now we are going to dig a little deeper inside of each of the topic described on our channels. And I think that some questions emerge could be saved for later because you might directly find the answer when seeing this topic described. What you need to know before going further is that each of the topics is constructed that there is challenge that you need to resolve, that there is requirements that you would also need to conform with, and also some kind of outcomes that each project should provide. Beside that, there is documentation, As for any project, usually it's done in sprints and divided in months that you will need to deliver this work, finalized with the financial and final report. So speaking about the topics, we have 5. I will go one by one, describing what is the most desirable for to be conform to the evaluation expectations. So let's go for the soil workability and humidity monitoring. When does it comes from? There is a challenge for the farmers when they need to use their machines in the field, and in much of the situations it happens that the vehicles and machinery it's stuck because the humidity of the terrain is not sufficient enough to hold the weight of the vehicle. So we here are trying not only to respond to this challenge, but if you know that the machines will consume a lot of fuel to come to the field and go back, and also this comes with some environmental impact and also with fuel consumption. So the goal is to predict the soil humidity so as to enable the work in the field, and also to enable better planting, application, and harvesting, but also, as said, to allow the reduction cost of the machinery. The main expected outcome is to increase the precision of the soil humidity by improving this uptime for the machinery. Also, this could minimize the soil compaction and also improve the efficiency of pesticides and nutrition of the application. The main deliverables are divided in 3 sprints. So the sprint 1 is presentation at month 2. Then you need to come up with a feasibility test and the evaluation done in month 4, and proof of concept pending for the month 6. For the topic 2, we have interoperable geotag photo app. There are several reasons why we picked this challenge for the topic 2. The first one is that common agriculture policy requests some information from the farmers, and there are a lot of these public administrations that are pending to be done in post 2020 year, and also in this particular moment there is a lot of documentation asked for the farmers to be submitted for these different public administrations. We foreseen that by 2021 or later, there will certainly be some requests from farmers to provide metadata with some geotag photos so as to provide the monitoring of smaller part of their land, not only using the satellite images, but more directed and more centralized way. So the main requirements are to provide technology that should be open source. We ask for something which is TRL7 or higher, but this is not directly restricted with this. We're just trying to have something already on board which is mature enough and used already in previous applications, because this is something specific, and we know that you might not have already something developed in this manner. We can say that after you develop it, it would be good to have it like for TRL7 or higher. For the standards, we are targeting REST APIs. Your application could be developed in Android, iOS, or other cross developer platforms. For the security, we will need to conform with the GDPR and to provide other authentication mechanisms. The reason we are targeting minimal geographical coverage for Spain and Ireland is because we already have some pilots in scope of DEMETER project. And if you have something already which could be done in these 2 countries or more than these 2, it would be really, really good. For other requirements, we have need to provide something which is multilingual. meaning that everything you provide for the application, like application infographics and menus, should be able to be translated in easier manner in other languages used in Europe. Also, we have 3 main deliverables. The first one, it will come as a result of multi-actor session and co-creation to come up with the requirements. Then you will need also to provide presentation and UML definition diagrams. As a second sprint, which is pending for month 4, operational testing and evaluation of this geotech photo app will need to be done with farmer management information system provided by our side. And finally, you will need to come up with deployment and integration tests. We could help you for the project by providing you webinars with our DEMETER architecture, and also for the architecture of the farmer management information system. You will also receive webinars about farmer needs and data sharing legal requirements. During these webinars, we could help you understand our architecture and what we feel is sensitive from the data provisioning side. And last but not least, we can help you around definition of the software and the APIs you will need to provide. Expected outcomes are geotech photo app, as said, but needed to work with our DEMETER Fieldbook, one of the farmer system from our DEMETER pilots, when it needs to be conformed with control system post 2020, which could be easier found online by typing EACS. We target all EU member states, and the application needs at the end to facilitate the decrease in time of delivery of some information to the public administration. App needs to also increase the content quality and the decision support of the DEMETER components, but the last requirements could be also discussed after you pass the evaluation stage. So we can now go for the topic 3, which is ISOBUS enabler. In short, there is a lot of machinery today used by different farmers and different manufacturers and OEM having issues to interconnect their hardware with farmer systems and vice versa. So farmer today are going into next digital transformation wave, and in order to be able to use different machinery, you will actually need to interconnect between different vehicles and with different systems and software components. So the goal is to enable these different protocols and standards in the agro-food domain to talk to each other. And we depicted ISOBUS protocol stack as one of these enablers, but you will need to wrap it up in a way that it could enable easy integration between these 2 layers. So the final outcome should be software gateway component that implements ISOBUS protocol, and the proposed technology as such should be interoperable with different agriculture hardware tools and systems, but without any deeper knowledge about the protocol itself. The main requirements are the TRL 6 or higher, open source code availability. You do not need to go deeper into the ISOBUS protocol stack, because if there are some already available enablers like Adapter Gateway, which you can use to conform directly to these different sub specifications of the protocol itself. The main programming languages expected are .NET and Java, and data management should be in regard and in scope of something done also for the ISO XML tag specification. For the other requirements, it would be nice if your company already have some experience in the transport domain and also some software development in scope of what you propose. There are 3 sprints. The first one is pending for M2, and is need to specify the requirements and the architecture of your new building block that you're going to provide. Second sprint is in M4, and it's actually represent the implementation and validation of your component. And finally, the final financial and overall project report. Same as for other components, here we could provide you with some support in form of webinars for the architecture, also some technical support and infrastructure access, insight evaluation in one of the pilots during the second stage of the project, and also some kind of mentoring in case you will need to go more deeper in some part of our system, or you have another question that are not answered during the previous part of the process. The main expected outcomes is that funded projects should improve interoperability between different equipment and systems, and you need to improve communication efficiency also for legacy machinery. Okay, that would be all for the topic 3. Now we are going toward the next one, which is blockchain-based solution for agricultural applications. Most of you are already familiar the buzz around the blockchain in agriculture. It has its merits, and it could be used mainly for supply chain monitoring, procurement tracking, crop and food production, insurance, but not limited only to this. It can be also used to pay different services like land registration and all the other different services. The main challenge here is to provide existing blockchain-based implementation because we are targeting something mature enough to be used and adapted, and we are targeting ability to easily integrate it in existing pharma system. So whatever you have, it would be good if you can provide some nice UI, some user-friendly manner to be integrated in different use cases and scenario. We are not providing scenarios per se, so you could also come up with a problem and motivation about the solution you're proposing. So it would be also good if your component is already tested and used in a commercial service. You need to comply with the DEMETER data model. So whatever you provide later, you'll need to consider also this adaptation to the DEMETER data model. And you need to document step-by-step integration manual and to expose this service online, which in few steps could lead to integration with the agri-food vertical. So you may notice that most of these components are something which requires significant effort to be developed, and you only have 6 months, and the budget is not so overwhelming. In that manner, we target for something already there and which could be, as said, easily adapted to be used in DEMETER. So for the topic 4, the requirements are TRL 6 or higher, source code, also open source and blockchain open source platforms. You should use open APIs, and based on the final scenario, if you use something with documents, there are already identified electronic signatures and document creation management standard that could be used. Your proposal should also provide development kits, at least several, 3 or more libraries for for 3 of the most popular programming languages like JavaScript, Python, C#, Java, React, Angular, or Swift. Security is really important because your components should or may trigger some transactions, so you should be banking grade when speaking about the security. For the geographical coverage, you should be based in Europe. and we expect some built-in data storage and querying features for the component. Other requirements, possibility to deploy private blockchain if needed with no scalability issues. So if someone needs to take your technology and take it further, develop it further, it would be nice if it can be done also without any scalability issues. For the documentation, you will need to provide requirements definition in month 2, integration test in month 4, and deployment in evaluation and pilot until month 6. We are also keen in working with you by organizing webinars about the architecture, providing technical support, and providing you with infrastructure access. Expected outcome is at least one functional prototype of the blockchain-based solution for the agriculture application. Okay, this is for topic 4. Now we are going to describe the DEMETER business process integration as a topic 5. Here we are not targeting something specific, so we are asking from you to propose something which recognizes something impactful and something is a game-changing in the domain of streamlining of different actions and execution of different processes in the agriculture companies. So you need to ensure efficient utilization of workforce and also the assets in order to contribute to the positive outcome of the business of one farm. So here you can put your imagination on and provide something which could really be efficient to be used in farm to boost their business itself. These components should ensure efficient sharing of data between different business processes in real time, as well to ensure the business process integration. So you also need to set up a basis for planning of each step of the production process. These are just examples, but it's not limited to optimal usage of resources, defining work orders, defining product shipping plan, and also setting a marketing budget plan. For the topic 5, we have also requirements in terms of TRL, 6 or higher, standards, REST interface, and the data integration standards. For the programming languages, you need to provide something in this regard presented on the screen. And these are Java, Python, .NET, or any other well-known and widely used languages. For data management, you need to conform to DEMETER AEM data model, which is based on NGSI-LD, and intellectual property rights are GPL license, which is most welcome, but other proprietary licenses could be also proposed. Minimum deliverables and documentations are analysis of business processes to be integrated at M2. This can be proposed as a documentation. Also, I think other forms of presentations are viable. At second sprint, you need to provide integration plan for few selected business processes. And for the third sprint, you need to implement and validate the selected business process with the DEMETER framework. For the resources provided by our site, we are also organizing DEMETER webinar for the architecture. We will provide you with the pilot, and we will provide you technical detail for business integration. Main expected outcomes from your component is to improve workforce utilization, improve operation efficiency, and improve resource usage for the process you have selected. This would be all for the topics. I think we could now go, Nuria, for questions.
We have quite a lot of questions waiting for us, but Yannis has to leave at 12 sharp. So what I suggest is that we go to the final presentation, the one on the DEMETER architecture that will be made by Yannis from INTRASOFT. He is the leader of Work Package 3 in DEMETER, and then we will take all the questions at the end, depending on the available time. We may need to go a bit beyond the time. I don't know if it is possible, Gronya, to use 5 minutes more, maybe. But let's go now to the architecture description, because I think that may also solve some of the doubts. Yannis, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Yes.
We managed to do a kind of reduce a presentation based on what was expected in the beginning.
Thank you, Nuria. So I hope that everyone can see my screen. Yes, I'm Yannis Oikonomidis from INTRASOFT. I'm leading the Work Package 3. It's a technical work package of the DEMETER project. So what I'm going to do now is to go through the reference architecture and reference implementation of DEMETER. So the first thing that I would like to show to you is the main elements of reference architecture of DEMETER. You can see at the bottom that we have the resources that connected with their platforms that can be services, applications, devices, IoT platforms, etc. And along with what we call a DEMETER enhanced entity along with a DEMETER enhanced entity is what we call it complies and connects to the DEMETER facilities. DEMETER facilities and the DEMETER reference platform is what lies on the top, and it consists of the dashboard through which different actors will get access to the various DEMETER services. The SOCs, or the stakeholders open collaboration space, which will serve as a digital cooperation space for agriculture actors to collaborate into finding a suitable solution for the needs based on DEMETER, of course. The brokerage service environment, which will provide technical interoperability services that will allow the DEMETER enhanced entities. So these two DEMETER enhanced entities to communicate, to provide and consume the resources from one another, and also the DEMETER enabler hub, the DE8 that you see here in the middle, that will serve as a catalog of the offered DEMETER enhanced entities that had already been registered to it before. The agricultural interoperability model, as it has been described, the agricultural information model, excuse me, as it has been described, it will be the common semantic data model that will be used between these two, the DEMETER enhanced entities in order to communicate among each other. Here we have an instantiation of reference architecture overview, and in the bottom we have the various things, databases that they use their own protocols. They have their own platforms and services, and they're using DEMETER enablers. The DEMETER enablers can be both provider and consumers, and are used to allow us to connect to the several facilities offered via DEMETER. These triangles, these orange and purple triangles are representing the enablers, and they indicate that there is an interconnection with any resource by using a common data model, the AIM, as it has been described. The interoperability layer lies in the middle of this figure, and comprises of several modules that provide functionalities such as interoperability, security, communication networking, decision support, data knowledge, performance monitoring, visualization, etc. This agriculture interoperability layer provides interfaces and interconnects with existing resources and applications, platforms, data, services. So for smart farming, for example, IoT, public database, etc., from various vendors using connectors, the enablers that I have mentioned, and in the context, we will explain more about these enablers later in this presentation. And in the top layer, we can see the several applications that are using DEMETER enablers, and with them they are able to consume facilities offered via DEMETER. So now moving to the DEMETER enablers we are using in DEMETER. We have the notion, the concept of these enablers, and we need them. We're using them in order to avoid affecting the previous operation. So we're trying to make use of a federation instead of integration and changing the existing facilities. And we also need to be extendable. So we came up with this enabler concept in order to achieve these two goals. We have identified 5 enablers that are regarded as core enablers. So that means that these core enablers are mandatory for an entity in order to be DEMETER enabled. These enablers, some of these enablers are deployed on the entities, on an entity's premises. That is so. That's on the client side, we could say. And by using all these DEMETER core enablers, an entity is transformed into a DEMETER enhanced entity, a DE. That means that this entity will be able to connect and provide consumer resources. The core enablers provide interoperability functionality that can be divided into 2 different let's say functionalities, the functional and then the semantic. So providing some common interfaces connected to other core components, that can be the functional interoperability, and also the semantic interoperability, that's basically using the AIM, the Agriculture Information Model, for which is a common semantic model for communicating with others, with other DEs. We have the security functionality, which basically offers access control. The communication networking functionality, which has some implementation for some functionality for security in communication protocols, and the DH client, which is an enabler that is basically used to connect to the DEH, the DEMETER Enabler Hub. We can provide maybe some more details later in this presentation. So now moving on, this is a more, let's say, breakdown of the functionality offered by each of these core enablers. This is the functional interoperability enabler, which offers basically the BSC service. BSC stands for the Brokerage Service Environment that I have mentioned earlier, but I'm going to describe more thoroughly later. And it's basically the client side of the BSC, and it offers services like such as registration, discovery, and provisioning. And also we have the services from the semantics interoperability enabler. We have the security enabler, which is the client side of the access control server component that we're using and provides authentication and authorization. And we have the DH client enabler, which is the client side of the DEMETER Enabler Hub. And that's basically what we're using in order to connect and consume the services from this component. And the communication networking enabler, which provides some secure channel communication via TLS or SSL protocols, or some encryption functionality for protocols for example, JSON or XML objects. Apart from these core enablers, we have the advanced enablers, what we call. These will be offered as optional enablers and according to the needs of each entity. The advanced enablers will be provided by the project and will be the outcome of several activities. Something that will be used by external parties. Advanced enablers will depend on core enablers for some of the functionality, for example, security, interoperability, etc. And the types of advanced enablers that we are currently implementing in the project is for integrated delivery type. For example, for service and device management, it's for decision support and performance monitoring type, for performance monitoring, alerting, visualization. And also the data and knowledge type, which can provide data analytics and knowledge extraction or data fusion. Let me move. I have mentioned the agriculture information model, the AIM, before, which is basically a semantic common semantic data model. That allow us to speak, allows actually the DEs, the deemed enhanced entities, to speak in the same common language. That includes core meta models, metadata schemas, cross-domain ontologies, and domain-specific ontologies. And we are building on existing ontologies and combine them in order to provide this in a more uniform way. This is a function. This is something that's provided, will be included also in the semantic interoperability enabler that will be available to the and mandatory for the DEMETER enhanced entities in order to interoperate among each other. Information about this can be found on GitHub. I think that you can. There's a documentation in the README file that describes quite good what should be used by developers that want to make their entity DEMETER enhanced entity using this agriculture information model. Going to move. I will now go to describe the main components of the reference platform that we in DEMETER. The first of them is the Brokerage Service Environment, or BSE. This is basically provides a way to the DEs, to the enhanced entities, to discover one another and consume the resources. It provides service discovery, registration and deregistration of a service in the Brokerage Service Environment services, and also provides a way to monitor the health status of a registered service. You can see we have also these are the main some endpoints that are being used, and the fact that the services of this component will be available through the authorization, the access control server. Authorization and authentication should be passed first, because before you can use these services. This is an architecture figure of this component. The main point that you want to get from this is that we're using REST APIs for accessing these services, and the access to this component is achieved through the authentication authorization service, and after that the provisioning is being performed, and the DEs can talk between each other directly through the internet. The next component is the DEMETER Enabler Hub, that includes a main dashboard through which actors can, after authentication procedure, of course, to go through the registered resources and select one or more for their solution needs. And there is there are some internal DH components that include source registry and compatibility checker, and also we have this. The main component is the identity management and authentication authorization, which is being used here as well. This access control server, which offers all these services, so authentication, authorization, and traceability. Authentication, authorization, I suppose that are self-explanatory, and the traceability is its aim is to keep record of the user activities that access DEMETER and DEMETER resources, and also for keeping some logs for the details of what is going on in authentication authorization processes. The last slide is shows our approach for the reference implementation. You can see that we have in the DEMETER Central Cloud, we have the SOX component, we have the DH component, we have the Brokerage Service Environment, and we also have some DEs deployed. This is the reference implementation that we have we're developing within the project. The one option well, the main option will be that within the pilot infrastructure, will be deployed another instance of the brokerage service environment, and DEMETER enhanced entities that are tailored and specific to the pilot will be deployed there as well. These DEs will be connected to this pilot implementation of a pilot instantiation of the brokerage service environment, but they will be using the same DEH from the DEMETER Central Cloud. And another option is, of course, to have DEs in the pilot infrastructure and no instance of the brokerage service environment, and these DEs will directly be connected to the central DEMETER's brokerage service environment instance. The single brokerage service environment will be available to support multiple pilots, and multiple brokerage service environments instances will be allowed to connect to single DEH. A DEMETER enhanced entity from another brokerage service environment may be used, and this is something that might be allowed by the access control. This concludes my presentation. I hope that it was quick and within time. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Yannis. I think that you provided a lot of technical information. For sure, this should be useful for all the applicants. Still, before you leave, I would like maybe to make a quite generic question that has been posted like 2-3 times over there. And I think that thanks to your presentation, it's somehow clarified, but just in case. In the very beginning, we got a question about how the output needs to be connected to the DEMETER platform. And I see in the chat that also some people are asking about how, if you need to provide already evidence of your ability to connect with the core enablers, or if this is something that will happen during the 6 months that the projects of the Open Call will be running. I don't know if there is any difference in between the different topics, if the requirements are the same for all the topics.
I think that it will be the same for all the topics. I think that in order I assume that at the moment, all external parties, they have their entities, and in order to make them a DEMETER enhanced entities, they have to work to make them a DEs. They have to work with the core enablers of DEMETER. So that I'm not sure if this will be a part of the 6-month period, but I assume that this will be the case. I'm not sure that we have the requirement of them to be already DEMETER enabled. Is that correct? I'm not sure that I'm the right person to answer this.
No, that is clarified for the person. I hope in any case it's okay. Read the guidelines of the Open Call, because there you see the requirements basically that are asked to all the topics and the projects that apply to that. Of course, you will get the support from the people in the project, so don't think that you will be alone. So for all the technical aspects, we have already uploaded a lot of information that is available for you, so that you can check basically all the technical infrastructure as it has been presented today. But in any case, of course, part of it will happen during the project, so don't worry about that. Then I think that there are many questions also related to the maturity of the results. I don't know if this is more for Nenad, but I have the impression that people have a lot of doubts about what a proof of concept means. Also, what it is expected based on the level of the TRL levels that we have set up in the call. Maybe we can go through some of them in particular. Specifically in topic 2, they ask what it means that the source code needs to be open source, and if there is a submission deadline. I don't know what it means exactly. So I think that the fact that the code needs to be open source is something quite clear. But maybe, Nenad, you can explain a bit better what we mean by the different TRLs in the project. Also, there is one about the fact that having something with TRL 7 or higher, if that means that the app needs to be already in the market, Google or Apple. No, of course not. Maybe just to clarify a bit, Nenad.
Yeah, there's a common mix-up with these TRLs. I would say that we're targeting as high as better, and the one displayed on each presentation, some of them have like beginning and end TRL, and some of them just presents a number. So you will need to reach the last number on that slide. If it's 7, you need to reach 7. Of course, as Nuria said, it's impossible to have application already which is working everything that we need, and to have a TRL 7. So I can go one by one, but I think maybe it's better to target a specific one because of the timing and having in mind number of questions we also have for the other participants.
Yeah, there were many questions precisely about topic 2. So maybe you can clarify directly about maybe topic 1 and topic 2, what the TRL
Sure.
means exactly there.
Let me just
Yeah, maybe you can show the
presentation
slides.
again.
I think you've been quite clear about those requirements, but just for
Sure.
clarification.
Just give me a moment. Topic 2, right?
Topic 1 and topic 2. Right.
Okay, I'm here for the topic 2 now. So I said TRL 7 or higher. This means end user applications should be, when you finalize it, should be market ready and uploaded on Apple Store or Google Play. For topic 1,
because there was a specific question about if there is a concrete TRL expected in topic 1.
Okay, right. So for this one, we did not provide a specific TRL here in the presentation, but I would say is something between 5 and 6. I'm not sure if we have Fede on the call, because this is something they defined. Is it Peter on the call, maybe?
Yeah, I think that Peter was here to support topic 1. Peter, are you here with us?
No, he just appears to have dropped out there 2 minutes ago.
Okay, what a pity. We will try to answer by email. Maybe you can contact us and we will try to answer this.
Yeah, for sure. We need to update the website with this TRL, so I think we will also have it online.
Yeah, and Nenad, if we are stating a TRL 6 or higher or 7 or higher, what does it mean? Is there any added value if you present a proposal with a higher TRL than the TRL we are asking for? So in between two proposals, one with TRL 7 and one with TRL 6, we will basically select the one with the highest TRL or not?
Of course, we will select the one with highest TRL, especially because you will need to align your work proposed with the deadlines, and the short timing of 6 months puts a specific here concern that you cannot deliver something which is of lower TRL. So it would be better if you can have something already mature enough to be adopted or provided and integrated with the platform.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then let me take the final question from Christian. It was posted in the chat a while ago, and it is about the topic 5, the DEMETER business process integration. So they say that they want to apply here, but their idea is more a management change, a working model development. So they need to develop software or not?
Yeah, we actually need software here. So if you have something theoretically on paper, it would not be enough. So you can make a consortium with another partner, which could actually provide the development of what you have drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So this should be a software component.
Okay, I can see that there were some additional questions here. Let's try to go through some of them very quickly. Topic 3, the ISO bus, how will it communicate with the main controller of the FMIS? Can you provide us with some information how the ISO bus will be connected in your architecture? And then the interoperability of ISO bus with the what services or hardware tools should be compatible?
Well, I think most of components are targeting REST APIs. So if you develop something which is using standardized ISO bus, and on top of that you have REST APIs, it would not be an issue to integrate it with any platform, especially with DEMETER and also with the farmer information management systems. But we will also provide the support, additional support for the funded project during the project to see what actually farmer management system we have and what farmer system you will use to be integrated with.
Mm-hmm.
Hope this clarifies.
Yeah, I think that's quite clear. Thank you, Nenad. For topic 1 again, so basically, what is the data that will feed the prediction system? So they ask us if we will be able to provide data coming from sensors of humidity or satellite data. or not?
Yeah, I don't see another way how you can, provide soil humidity without putting actual sensors in the ground. So your service should have these ready, these sensors that are actually deployed and consuming services. So we are not having these humidity sensor provided by our side. I think you will need it to provide it from your component.
Okay, so then that is very clear. They have to come with infrastructure to get access to the data. We will not provide those data. Okay, and then if someone has something that is not open source, and we are asking for open source software, should it be open source by the submission deadline? At least if it's not open source, you cannot apply for that because you will not fulfill the requirements. So specifically, this is about geotagging photos, and they say that they have an app that is not open source at this stage.
Yeah, we are targeting open source for a reason, because we need to boost in this direction the technology and make it sustainable after the project ends. So if you're not complying the requirements, you will be automatically down selected from the application.
Yeah, so the only answer I would also give there is that if you want to open part of your application, generate another version that is really open source, then you could apply, but if you want to keep your software proprietary, not. I think that with that we cover most of the technical topics. I see that is already more than 10:12. Just let me finalize the webinar with a couple of comments. Some people ask about the presentations and the content of this webinar. Yeah, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is being recorded. It will be available through the website. Go to the website because the previous webinar is already available. You have the section, you have a lot of documentation there, and I'm sure that if you go through that, many of the questions that you have posted here will be answered very easily. And then also there was one question about general collaboration with the project. If you cannot apply to the open call, but still you're interested in DEMETER, just get in touch with us. Also on the website, you can find contact us option. So send an email to us, and of course, if there is a relevant collaboration that can happen, we are more than open to collaborate with everyone, as we are doing already with many projects and many stakeholders. So just don't hesitate to get in touch with us. I think that with that, I would like to close the webinar and say thank you very much to all our panelists that managed to provide so much information in such short time. I know that is very complex. Thanks also to all the people that have attended the webinar. And I'm not sure, Kevin, if you want to say something as coordinator of the project to close. Maybe I give you the privilege to say the final words. If you want.
Me? Yeah, again, thanks. I just want to say thanks to everybody for connecting into the webinar. It's great to see such a level of interest in the project, and thanks to the DEMETER team for putting it together once again. And we're looking forward to seeing all the applications. So thank you.
Yeah, so don't hesitate to contact us if you still have some doubts, and in any case, go to the open call section of the website and revise everything that is already available for you. Thank you very much. Have a very good day to all of you. Wow.
Thank you.